handing a really dense, totally broken, highly complex research paper to an AI.
Just a complete mess of a project, basically.
Right, exactly. Like the code is fragmented, half the files are missing, and the core instructions are just, buried in this chaotic PDF.
Which is pretty standard for academic papers, honestly.
Yeah. But then, 5 hours later, that AI hasn't just fixed the code and run the experiment. It has genuinely invented a completely new, mathematically superior AI model.
It actually beats the original authors at their own game.
Exactly. So today, on this deep dive, we're unpacking what feels like a fundamental shift in how science itself is done. We're looking at a system called AutoSOTA.
Yeah, AutoSOTA, it's an end-to-end automated research system.
And this was built by a collaborative team, right? From Tsinghua University, Songwon Kun Academy, Peking University, and USDC.
Right, and what we're looking at here is a reality where the machine isn't just, a tool for you to use. The machine is actually actively participating in the scientific method.
It's a colleague.
Literally.
Yeah.
AutoSOTA doesn't just read and summarize AI papers. It acts as a fully autonomous research team.
It takes the raw publication and navigates the absolute mess of real-world software engineering.
Exactly, and then it reproduces the highly complex models inside.
Right.
And then it designs an entirely new architecture that achieves a new state-of-the-art baseline.
Which is wild, and to really grasp the magnitude of a machine achieving state-of-the-art, or, SOTA, as it's called, we kind of have to look at the grueling reality of what it takes a human researcher to do that.
Oh, it is agonizing.
Right. People have this really romantic, cinematic idea of AI breakthroughs, like someone is staring intensely at a whiteboard.
Writing a beautiful equation.
Yeah, and they hit run on their laptop, and suddenly the neural network just wakes up. But the day-to-day reality is what? Months of repetitive debugging?
Months of debugging, environment setup, and just endless experimental iteration. The source material highlights this massive, silent bottleneck in AI right now.
The fragmentation of research artifacts.
Yes. When a human team publishes a breakthrough, the final paper is neatly formatted in one place. But the actual machinery that makes it work is just scattered to the wind.
So the code might be sitting in a totally disorganized GitHub repository.
If you're lucky. And the massive data sets you need to train the model. They're implicitly referenced, but not actually provided.
Oh, wow.
And worst of all, the vital engineering assumptions, like the really specific software configurations that keep it from crashing, are entirely undocumented.
So it's kind of like trying to build a piece of flat pack furniture, but the instructions are a theoretical PDF.
That's a great way to put it.
And the screws are hidden in some random forum thread, and you basically have to chop down the tree yourself to get the wood.
Exactly. And, solving an isolated, neat little coding problem is actually pretty easy for an LLM today.
Right. If you give it a prompt, it spits out a function.
Exactly. We even have automated AutoML tools out there.
Right.
But they operate in these highly sanitized sandboxes.
They just tweak a few numbers.
Yeah, hyperparameter tuning, or making bounded edits to code that already works perfectly. They completely sidestep the messy reality of setting up an environment from scratch.
Which is why the team behind AutoSOTA didn't just build one massive AI, right? They built an entire simulated laboratory.
A multi-agent architecture. 8 distinct AI roles.
Because humans struggle so much with this messy starting point, the first stage acts entirely as an autonomous research assistant.
Right. Before it even tries to invent anything, its only job is to gather the ingredients and mathematically define what success actually looks like.
So let's talk about the scout of the group, the resource agent.
Yeah, agent resource. Its job is to crawl the web, parsing PDFs and GitHub pages. It filters out the purely theoretical papers and zeroes in on actionable empirical work.
And modern AI models need massive external dependencies, like huge data sets.
Way too large for a standard code repository.
Yeah.
So this agent uses specific tools, like the Hugging Face client.
Which is basically a command line interface for Hugging Face, right? The app store for AI models.
Exactly. And if a standard tool doesn't work, the agent just writes its own custom scripts to autonomously navigate complex download interfaces.
So it's just out there on the open web, acting like a digital intern.
Pulling down terabytes of data the human authors forgot to link directly.
That is insane. But downloading a massive folder of data is, well, it's only half the battle. If you've ever read an academic paper, you know they're dense and confusing.
Oh, and authors love to present like a dozen poorly formatted tables.
Where they cherry pick their absolute best results. So how does the AI know what the actual benchmark of success is?
Without getting completely lost in the noise.
Yeah. If I hand an AI a paper with 50 different metrics, how does it know which number is the one it actually needs to beat?
Well, that specific problem context, overflow, trips up almost every other autonomous system out there.
Because if you feed it everything at once,
It loses the plot, it gets overwhelmed by the details, and forgets the main objective. So AutoSOTA solves this using a mechanism called hierarchical context injection.
okay, so it's layering the information.
Exactly. It starts extremely shallow. The objective agent only gives the AI the abstract in the introduction first.
To force the system to establish a macro strategy.
Right, without distractions. The AI learns, okay, the main contribution is a new computer vision model, and the primary metric is accuracy on this specific dataset.
So once that high-level goal is locked in, then what?
Then the system progressively feeds it the visual tables and figures. And finally, it feeds it the deep implementation logic and the actual code base.
Wow. So by layering the context, it ensures the AI has concrete, verifiable evidentiary support.
It stays completely locked onto the primary benchmark.
It's building a foundation before it even looks at the blueprints, but a macro goal like beat this vision model's accuracy is still incredibly broad.
Right.
How does it turn that into an actual to-do list?
It builds what they call a tree-structured recursive decomposition rubric.
Okay, that is a mouthful.
It is. In simpler terms, it uses a breadth-first search algorithm combined with weight-driven termination.
Okay, let's break those two down. Starting with the breadth-first search. Instead of, diving deep down one single rabbit hole right away, it's scanning the entire surface first.
Think of it like mapping out a city. Instead of walking down one street until it ends, you map all the major highways first.
Then the secondary roads.
Right, and then the tiny alleys. The AI takes the macro goal and breaks it down into a horizontal row of major subtasks.
And then it breaks those down further.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it needs to know when to stop, otherwise it'll get stuck in an infinite loop of, useless microtasks.
Like, verify the color of the text editor.
Exactly. And that is where the weight-driven termination comes in.
Right, so it assigns a literal mathematical weight or importance to the root goal.
Yeah. Imagine pouring a gallon of water into a branching system of pipes. As the pipes branch out into smaller tubes, the water pressure drops.
Oh, that makes sense.
The AI distributes the weight of the main goal down into the subtasks. Once the subtask's weight falls below a certain threshold,
Say, it reaches the level of check if Python version 3.8 is installed.
exactly, the algorithm terminates that branch. It just stops decomposing.
And the result is a highly detailed, perfectly scaled checklist to replicate the paper.
Which completes stage one.
Okay, so the system knows the goal, it has the exact metric of success, and all the files. Now we hit stage 2, which honestly sounds like the most infuriating part of computer science.
Making someone else's academic code actually run on a new machine. It's terrible.
Right, academic code is notoriously fragile.
You might download a repository and find the original researcher hard-coded a local path. Like, the code is literally looking for a folder called C users Dave desktop data.
Which obviously only exists on Dave's laptop.
And if you try to run it, it immediately crashes.
It's like being asked to cook a Michelin star meal, but when you walk into the kitchen, there are no pots, the gas line is completely disconnected.
And you have to build the stove from scratch.
Yes, before you can even look at the ingredients. So how does AutoSOTA build the stove?
It deploys an initialization agent equipped with a preset skills library. It acts as a workflow-grounded pioneer.
Meaning it systematically runs through standard fixes.
Right, like Docker fallbacks to create a standardized container. It does path normalization, hunting down all those Dave's desktop references and rewriting them.
And it has to manage the hardware communication too, right? Because getting the code to talk to the graphical processing units, the GPUs, is a huge hurdle.
Massive. The initialization agent performs deep CUDA environment checks.
CUDA being the software layer for NVIDIA GPUs.
Exactly. If the CUDA versions are mismatched between the code and the hardware, the model simply won't run. The agent patches that missing glue logic.
But there's a constraint here, right? I can't just change the science to make it work.
It must do all of this without violating the paper's original scientific protocol. It can fix a file path or install a math library, but it cannot change the evaluation metric.
Or lower the resolution of the training data just to save time.
Exactly.
But even with a skills library, this sounds incredibly dangerous for an autonomous AI.
It is.
Anyone who uses AI coding assistants knows that the longer you leave them alone with an error message, the worse it gets.
Oh, absolutely. They hit a bug, write a fix that inadvertently breaks something else.
They try to fix that new thing, and suddenly they're completely off the rails.
That is known as a local optima trap, and it is the death knell of automated coding.
Because they hyper-focus on the immediate error.
Right. Patching a leak, which bursts a pipe, which floods the floor. They lose sight of the larger architectural goal and get trapped in a hallucinated bug-fixing loop.
So how does AutoSOTA stop the AI from just spiraling into oblivion?
By fundamentally separating the execution of the code from the supervision of the code. They introduced Agent Monitor.
An independent external observer.
Exactly. This agent does not write code. It doesn't fix bugs. It sits outside the execution environment and continuously watches the execution trace in real time.
So it's watching the history of what the executing agent is doing.
And it uses persistent external memory to maintain a cross-iteration context.
What does that mean in practice?
Say the execution agent hits an error, tries to install a dependency to fix it, fails, and then tries to install that exact same dependency again 3 minutes later.
Oh, I see.
The monitoring agent detects that dead-end trajectory. It steps in, halts the process, forces a rollback to a stable state, and makes the execution agent try a fundamentally different approach.
It's the manager stepping in and saying, hey, stop banging your head against that wall, let's zoom out.
Exactly. And if a genuine systemic error occurs, a specialized fix module accesses a massive database of historical execution errors to inject protocol-preserving repairs.
Wow. So working together, they transform this completely broken academic repo into a fully runnable baseline.
That actually matches the paper's originally reported results.
Which brings us to the final stage. Up to this point, AutoSOTA has basically just been playing catch-up.
Fixing human errors, yeah.
But once it reproduces that baseline, it doesn't clock out. It seamlessly transitions from replicating the past to inventing the future.
It attempts to achieve a new state-of-the-art model.
And this is where I want to push back a bit on the word invention.
Yeah.
If an AI's only goal is to make a number on a chart go up, isn't it just brute forcing the problem? Like blindly tweaking a learning rate 1,000 times until it gets a lucky high score. Is it actually doing science?
It is genuinely doing science.
Yeah.
And the mechanism behind it is what makes this so groundbreaking. It is not just turning dials.
Okay, so what is it doing?
The Ideator agent is tasked with proposing genuine structural innovations.
But how does a machine look at a functioning neural network and decide how to restructure it?
It parses the mathematical architecture of the baseline model, and it identifies bottlenecks.
Can you give an example?
Let's take a computer vision model. The AI might analyze how the model processes an image and realize that a specific convolutional layer...
The part scanning for edges and shapes.
Right. It realizes that layer is computationally heavy and losing vital context. The agent will actually propose a new hypothesis. If we remove this dense layer and replace it with a sparse attention mechanism, we can process the image faster and retain better accuracy.
Wait, so it's writing a real hypothesis?
Yes. Then, it actually writes the new PyTorch code to implement that structural change and hands it off to a scheduling agent to test it against the baseline.
It's fundamentally redesigning the workflow of the model.
Exactly.
But if it's redesigning the model, how do we trust the results? We know AI systems will absolutely find a way to cheat a test if given the opportunity.
Oh, they will.
It might accidentally leak testing data into the training set, essentially looking at the answers before the exam, right? To artificially inflate its score.
And preventing that behavior is the entire purpose of the supervisor agent. It acts as the guardian of scientific integrity.
How does it do that?
It enforces what the researchers call a strict red line system. Before any new model is validated as a true state-of-the-art improvement, the supervisor audits the entire workflow.
To ensure no invalid optimization behaviors occurred.
Exactly. It specifically hunts for evaluation leakage, ensuring not a single piece of testing data was exposed during the training phase.
So it's double-checking that the test was actually blind.
And it ensures strict protocol compliance. In AI research, you have to prove why your new model is better. You can't just throw 10 random changes at a wall and claim victory.
You have to perform an ablation study.
Right.
Which is where you test parts of a model by temporarily turning them off to see what really matters.
Think of it like trying to figure out what makes a sports car fast. You don't just paint it red, change the tires, and add a spoiler all at once, and then claim the red paint is the secret to the speed.
You have to test each component individually.
An ablation study systematically removes parts of the model to isolate the exact cause of the performance gain.
And if the AI can't mathematically prove that its specific architectural change is responsible,
the red line system rejects the model. The gains have to be real, scientifically comparable improvements over the baseline.
So when they actually put this gauntlet to the test, what happened? Because the researchers evaluated AutoSOTA on papers from 8 top-tier 2025 AI conferences, right?
The absolute bleeding edge of global research, ICLR, NeuroPS, CVPR.
And the results are frankly stunning. AutoSOTA successfully discovered 105 entirely new SOTA models.
And these weren't marginal fraction of a percent gains either.
No.
The new models, invented by the system, averaged an almost 10% performance improvement over the original methods.
Wow, 10%.
And it did this across highly diverse fields: natural language processing, computer vision architectures, time series forecasting. It even proposed deep conceptual changes to algorithms used in biology research.
And the most mind-bending detail of all, the entire process. From reading the unstructured PDF to downloading the fragmented code, fixing the undocumented errors, establishing the baseline, and inventing a 10% better model.
It takes an average of just 5 hours per paper.
5 hours to achieve what would typically take a human research team months of iterative, frustrating grind.
It's incredible.
If you are listening to this, whether you're a casual tech observer or a professional deep in the weeds of software development, this really represents a fundamental paradigm shift in how we approach problem solving.
AutoSOTA is not about replacing human scientists.
Exactly, it's about amplifying them. Think about the sheer volume of time human minds currently spend doing amateur plumbing on broken code,
Fighting environment mismatches.
running endless debugging cycles. By offloading that high-frequency iteration to a system that can do it in an afternoon, it frees up human researchers to focus entirely on deep conceptual innovation.
It allows us to step back and ask the truly disruptive, creative questions that actually drive science forward.
Yeah.
It really forces us to reevaluate where the actual human bottleneck in discovery lies. Because if we remove the execution barrier, the pace of discovery changes completely.
Absolutely.
And it leaves us with a rather profound and maybe chilling question for you to think about. If a system like AutoSOTA can autonomously absorb a top-tier paper, navigate the software labyrinth, and generate a superior model in just 5 hours,
What happens when human researchers can no longer read the papers fast enough?
exactly, are we rapidly approaching a reality where the baseline of human knowledge is continuously updated overnight by AI systems collaborating with other AI systems?
A 24-hour autonomous scientific method, where you wake up and the frontier of human understanding has already been pushed forward while you were sleeping. It's definitely something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.